The first step, whenever you're kind of setting up async workloads, it's really simple. And if you go to your site, or your team rather, you go to extensions, you'll find async workloads, and then you can install it from here and configure it. I've already installed it, but this is all that you really need to do. When you go over to the code side, we can start writing these async workloads. In my terminal here, I have just getting some bearings here. This area here is my running local server. And then any sort of additional commands or calls that I want to make, I'll make it down here. Okay, so first of all, this is the most basic serverless function. There is, nothing really unique going on here. This is just if you set up Netlify and started writing a serverless function, this is probably where you would start. And Netlify makes it super easy, right, to just write this function, and then you can start using it. So if I go over to Chrome, and this is my local server, I invoke this basic serverless function, and it says hello world, exactly as I asked it to. And looking at the logs here, we'll see that my log function down there logged hello from serverless function, this here. Whenever we start creating async workloads, we're going to npm install the Netlify async workloads package, and then we can start building with it. And when we compare these two functions, so this is the basic serverless function that you would call from a HTTP endpoint, and this is the basic async workload function, which is really just a callback that's wrapped in this async workload. Because this is a event-based architecture, there has to be something that produces an event, and then this is saying that I consume this event and I'm listening for it. This is all you need to get durable compute and event-based architecture. That's it. I can't emphasize this enough at how much complexity was removed from setting up various different providers, various different queue systems, and things like that. So whenever we invoke this function, by default, it'll retry. It'll attempt to run 5 times. It will have a back-off schedule, an exponential back-off schedule. It'll go into a dead lettered state if it totally can't work, and then there's an API that you can call to retry it. All of that resiliency packaged up in a very straightforward API here. So now let's actually invoke it. So like we mentioned before on our serverless function, if we went to the endpoint and reloaded the page, we'll see that it called there. From here, in that same serverless function, we're going to do a workloads client, and then client.send AWL1. So our event name was AWL1, and I can subscribe to many events, but in this case, AWL1. And I'll save that. When I go over to Chrome and reload it, I'll find that the terminal says hello from serverless function, which is the first thing the serverless function says. And then it invoked my async workload, which says hello from async workload. So again, serverless function gets called, it says hello from async from serverless function, and then that invokes this event, which invokes this callback to say hello from async workload. So this is the most basic step for getting a durable event-based architecture on your system. That's it.